In elementary mathematics, or in elementary arithmetic to be precise, if you ask a student or if you ask anyone, what is the answer that you get if you divide 2 by 0? Most of the students will go to their calculator, they punch in 2 divided by 0, and the calculator will say undefined, or it will say it's a math error, depending on the kind of calculator that you used. Now, in this video, I'm going to explain what is the answer that you get if you divide a number by 0. But I go beyond that. I'm also going to explain why the answer is like that. That is the subject of this question. But before I go to division, maybe I should start with multiplication. I'm going to start by explaining what is multiplication. What are we doing exactly when we are multiplying? Let me say we have something like 2 times 5. What does this mean? It means 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 2, and the answer is 10. If you look at what we have here, it essentially means multiplication is repeated addition. So we are adding here repeatedly. So this is repeated addition. Repeated addition. Although 2 times 5 and 5 times 2, both of them give you 10, but the meaning is actually different. We say that multiplication is commutative. By commutative, we mean 2 times 5 is the same as 5 times 2. It is actually the same in terms of the answer, but in terms of the process, these are actually two different processes. Because if I say 5 times 2, I am saying 5 plus 5, which gives us 10. Again, we are repeatedly adding 5 2 times. In the first case, we repeatedly added 2 5 times. This is what it means when we're doing multiplication. Let us do the same with division. So we can conclude that a multiplication is actually repeated addition. Let us try and see what it means to divide. Now, if we are dividing, so division, let us start with 10 divided by 2. If you take your calculator and you punch 10 divided by 2, you're going to get 5. But what is 10 divided by 2? What is this process that we're doing? What we're doing here, we're taking 10 and subtracting 2 until we have nothing to subtract. So we minus 2, we get 8, we minus 2 again, we get 6, we minus 2, we get 4, we minus 2, we get 2 and we minus 2, then we now have 0. So 10 divided by 2 is actually 5, because we are going to subtract 2 from 10 5 times. In other words, we are asking, how many times do we need to subtract 2 from 10 so that we end up with nothing? This is what it means. So if we do this, the answer here is, you can say this is what? 10 divided by is equals to 5. This is what it means. 10 divided by 2 is equals to 5. The 5 coming from the number of times that we subtracted 2 from 10. Let me do another example. Let us say 20 divided by 5. Now, this means, I shouldn't use the equal sign here. So this means 20 minus 5 minus 5 minus 5, then minus 5. If we say 20 minus 5, we get 15. Minus 5, we get 10. Minus 5, we get 5. Minus 5, we get 0. So we need to subtract 5 from 24 times. This is 4 times. Because of this, it means 20 divided by 5 is actually 4. This is what it means. So division, we can conclude, is a repeated subtraction. So this is a repeated subtraction. Now, once you understand that division is repeated subtraction and multiplication is repeated addition, now you can go on to do the division by 0 and get an answer. So let's do this. We have 2 divided by 0. The process here, if we're going to treat division as repeated subtraction, this means we want to know how many times can we subtract 0 from 2 until we have nothing, until we have 0. So if we come here, you minus 0, you still have 2, 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 until this thing does not end. In other words, the number of times that you have to subtract 0 repeatedly from 2 to get a 0, that the number of times is actually infinite. So it is actually infinite. So the number of times here is, these are what? Infinite times. We cannot say it is 2 times, we cannot say it is 3 times, we cannot say it's 1,000,000 times, we cannot say it's 1,000,000,000 times. The number is actually infinite. You don't know the answer. So mathematically, we say the answer here, we use this symbol here to represent that the answer here is infinity. The answer is infinity. But infinity itself is not a definite number. It's not 1 million, it's not 1 billion, it's not 1 trillion, it's not one quadrillion. It is not that. It's not a number. So you can't say 2 divided by 0 is equals to infinity. You cannot say that, because this infinity here is not a number that you can definitely say, now I have infinity. I'm stopping here, I have infinity. It does not end. It has no ending. It has no definite value, infinity. So in the end, we just say 2 divided by 0, 2 over 0 approaches infinity. 2 divided by 0 approaches infinity. We don't use an equal sign. We use this arrow to say it approaches infinity. So that is the answer. Every time you divide anything by 0, we get infinity, or we approach infinity. That is the most correct way to say it. So let's now explain the thing of approaching, or infinity itself. Approaching infinity. In this answer of a number being divided by 0, or this process of dividing a number by 0, it can be explained in different versions. One of the versions that I like is, let us say we say 2 over 0. 0 itself is an infinitesimally small number. So it is an infinitesimally small. This is what it means. It is infinitesimally. So 0 is infinitesimally small. That's what it means. Infinitesimally small. Infinitesimally. I'm actually saying here that this 0 is very, very, very small. So you are dividing 2 or any other number by a very, very small number. Your answer here should be infinitesimally large. So this is infinitesimally large. Infinitesimally large. This is what it means. So you are dividing a number by a very small number. Your answer should be infinitesimally large itself. That's why we call it infinity. So this infinitesimally large number is actually infinity. That's what we mean by infinity. This is another way of explaining this. Or maybe if you want to use a division approach, you may start with 2. Let us say you divide 2 by 2, you get 1. Then you divide 2 by 1, you get 2. Then you divide 2 by 0.5, you get 4. Then you divide 2 by a 0.001. You see, the answer that you get from this division, is, here you get 2000. You get 2000 by dividing 2 by 0.001, you get 2000. What is happening here? Look at this pattern that is happening here. I am reducing the size of my divisor, the number that I'm dividing with. I'm reducing it. And as I reduce it, my quotient or my answer becomes larger and larger and larger. Then imagine that you are now dividing this 2 by 0.0000000000000, maybe 1. See, the answer becomes very large. Very large. So the smaller the divisor, the bigger the quotient. The smaller the divisor, the bigger the quotient. Now we imagine 0 to be a very, very small divisor, which means the quotient becomes very, very large. That is what we call infinity. Okay, let me conclude the video by just saying, if we take a number like 2 and we divide it by 0, the answer is infinity. However, we cannot say equals to infinity, because infinity itself is not a definite value. It's not a definite value that we say, oh, it actually equals to this. Now we have infinity. No, we can never have infinity and point at it and say this is our infinity. No, it is not definite. So it's an indefinite answer. So we rather say approaches. So this arrow is saying approaches infinity. It approaches infinity. That is the most, or that is the best way of presenting this. 2 divided by 0 approaches infinity, or the value of the answer approaches infinity. That is what we mean. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. If you have any comments or any questions, just write in the comment section below. Otherwise, I'll give a thumbs up to the video and subscribe to the channel.